Hi everyone, welcome to Everyday, your daily stop for virtual reality content. I am still in Atlanta at the conference. This is a pre-recorded video. Today I'm going to be visiting the Kokiri Forest. Now the Kokiri Forest is the first area that you enter when you begin playing the original Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64. This is a game that holds a special place in my heart because I can still remember as a kid how excited I was. I've been playing Legend of Zelda ever since it came out on the NES, and to see it make that leap from a 2D game to a 3D game with a 3D world that completely surrounded you was just super, super exciting. And I remember how amazed I was when Link got out of that bed and I started moving the controller and I was controlling Link in 3D. And then I walked out the door and this is the world that I saw. And so it's a really special memory for me, and the developer who created this, I don't actually know how they created it. I don't know whether they built it from scratch, just based on observing the game or on their memory of the game, or if they somehow imported it from the ROM. I'm pretty sure the textures and the music they got from the ROM somehow. Most likely the geometry as well. None of the NPCs are present in this environment, and Link's model is also not present. You don't have items or life meter or abilities, any kind of HUD. So it's a very simple, just exploration demo of the Kokiri Forest environment. It was created by a guy named Raphael Wikihalder, who is a German speaker, probably in Germany, and he's also a Bitcoin enthusiast. He takes donations in Bitcoins if you'd like to thank him for this demo. And he is currently working on a project that is adapting part of the world of Link to the Past to VR in a similar fashion. I'm doing this game because it was suggested by one of my viewers on one of my Half-Life 2 videos. And I just want to remind you guys, if there are any games or demos that you want to see me play, that includes demos that can only be played with an injection driver like Vireo or Vorpex. Feel free to suggest it. I am happy to take suggestions. I am happy to play any game, no matter how short or how long. Just let me know. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the game and hope Navi isn't there. Alright, here I am in the game. And I'm going to be using the Xbox 360 controller. You just use the left stick to move, the right stick to look around, in addition to using your head to look around, and the A button to jump. These are pretty standard Unity controls. So this game, like I said, was created in Unity, and this is right where you start, right after you get out of your house. There's my house. Can I go in my house? I cannot go in my house. It's just a black door. That's fine. This is just the Kokiri Forest area. So I can see the Deku tree over there. I can see its branches and crown. And this is where Saria would run up to me, and she would be all like, "Hi, Link!" And Navi would be floating next to me, and she'd be like, "You got a fairy, finally! Jesus, what took you so long?" And I'd be like, "Shut up, Saria!" And then I would climb down here. Can I climb back up the ladder? Guess not. Okay. So the jumping feels very different from how it feels in the original. In the original, you could only jump when you reach the edge of a platform, and at the time that was a new feature. Like most other games, you had an explicit jump button. I think they decided to make jumping automatic so that they could save the buttons for other things, and because you don't actually jump much in this game. But yeah, they've done a great job of just exactly reproducing everything, and including like all these little particle effects that make the forest seem like magical. And the geometry obviously is very simple here, and the textures are quite low resolution. Like if I walk up to this wall, you can see I can see every individual pixel in this texture. It's like if you see those white stars, like the center of each of those white stars is a pixel. So this is very low resolution. And it looks like some of the water effect I don't think is exactly like it was in the original, and the water isn't animated like it was there. So this is in some ways simpler than the original game. Hello, waterfall. On the other hand, in the original game, it was not first person, so You could not look up or down as easily as I am. It did have a first-person mode that you could go into with See Up. And I've heard that Ocarina of Time was originally designed as a first-person game, but they ultimately decided to make it third-person because when you get later in the game and you become Adult Link by going into the future, they wanted you to really be able to see that transition between Young Link and Adult Link. Can I go up here? Ah! Jumping right in front of a wall like this is, really disorienting. Okay, I'm not going to do that. So this is using standard Unity controls, so that means that you look in the direction, you move forward in the direction you're currently looking, so wherever you look, that is forward. So I'm just holding forward, and you can see my direction of travel changes as I look around. And this is it's a convenient way of moving, but it's also less flexible than games that use tank mode. Tank mode is when your body and head have a different orientation. That enables you to look around as you're walking in a straight line. So currently I cannot walk down this path and also look left and right at the same time. I start to move off the path as I do that. So that's just a limitation of this particular input method. And it's really like there's something here in this VR recreation that was not in the original game. And it's hard to define, but it's a sense of like when I look around and I see all these trees all around this place. And I see all the little things floating through the air, and I feel like I am in a secluded forest grove or in a secluded forest town. And like I've been taken away from my room, and I am surrounded by all these trees and the creatures of the forest. And that atmosphere is something I really didn't get from the original game, and I think it's cool that it can do that. And I can imagine how they could really take advantage of that for narrative purposes. Can I jump through the bridge? Yep. Whoa. What just happened there? Jump! Jump! Can I reproduce that? Okay, I just jumped on top of that bridge. You guys saw it. It happened. Okay, I'm gonna jump here. Then I'm gonna jump again. None of the NPCs are here. There's no Mido to stop me from visiting the Deku Tree. So I'm gonna go do it. This is where I would normally encounter the first enemies of the game. Get some Deku sticks from them. Holy shit. Holy shit, look at this. Look at this. Look at this tree. This tree is huge. Like, I know that we knew from the original game when you walk up to it that the tree is huge. But like, I can tell, just like standing way back here, I can already tell that this tree is enormous. I can tell exactly how big it is. Like, from the ground to like about to the crown, it's about I want to say 4 stories. 3 or 4 stories. More like 4. And then the crown, it's hard to see that part, but I imagine that's like another 3 or 4 stories. So this guy is literally the size of a large building. And just look at that nose. If that nose fell off, it would crush me to death. Right now. It is like the size of a bus. It would be like having a bus fall on you. A small bus, but still a bus. Wow. And can you imagine if it opened up here and let me go into the level? And I could step over here and walk into the level? And this doorway would be like 10 feet high? This is just so huge. Wow. Can I go around the back? I want to see what's behind the Deku Tree. I don't think there's actually anything interesting back there. But wow, look at this. Just to get around the Deku Tree, it's taking me a while. Here I am in back. Wow. I feel like if I were standing in front of this in real life and I tried to climb up on it, I would fail because it's just too big. I would need like climbing gear or something to get up on there. Or a ladder. This is crazy. This is a big tree. Alright. Oh, can I walk over this? Yeah, I can kind of walk over this. Only on the part nearest the ground. Once I get up here, I can no longer really walk on it. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think that I've explored the entire demo now, so let me just come out and talk about this a little bit. So that was the Kokiri Forest demo, and I think, I mean, it does a great job of recreating the original models in the game faithfully, and it lends a new sense of atmosphere that I don't think the original game really had, and that could have been really employed in a great way by a VR recreation of this game. But obviously, I think if they were going to make a VR version of any classic games like this, that it would take a lot more than just putting it in first person and allowing you to walk around that way. Particularly in Legend of Zelda, I think that there's a lot of room for using your items, using VR input devices like the Razer Hydra or the 6th Sense Stem or Prio VR or any number of other alternatives. Because, like, if you imagine the kind of items that Link uses, he's a very hands-on combat guy. So he has a sword. You can imagine the sword working just like an Oculus Maximus, where you can swing the sword any way you like. Skyward Sword, I believe, also used the Wiimote in a similar fashion. And you can imagine, like, the bow and arrow, being able to really pull it back and shoot the bow and arrow, and actually having to aim it like you do a real bow and arrow. You can imagine having to throw the boomerang and have it come back to you. You can imagine with the bombs, actually placing the bombs down on the ground. There's just every item I feel in Link's inventory has some kind of potential for to be turned into a VR input controlled item, and that could be really fun. Another possibility is, or rather another thing that they would have to adapt going into VR is not just the first-person perspective, but they depend really heavily in the Zelda series on a subscreen that you pull up that has all of your items, it has your map, it has whatever you've collected, things like that. And I think to adapt it to VR, you ideally want to, like, I don't know if you can get rid of the subscreen, but as much as possible, you want to try and put it into the virtual environment. So, for example, you can imagine instead of changing items by bringing up the subscreen and going, pick this item, and then dismiss the subscreen, you can imagine, like, your favorite 2 or 3 items, you can have them kind of sitting on your belt, and you, like, reach down and grab the one you want, and it changes to that item. Or you could imagine with, like, the map. So you can imagine doing a Dreadhall style thing, where it's like your map is down at your waist, and you look down, and you can see your map, and then you look up, and the map is gone again. So there's a lot of possibilities like that. And I think that it'll be exciting the day when Nintendo finally decides to bring the franchise to VR. And, you know, Nintendo was a pioneer in consumer VR back in the 90s with the Virtual Boy, and they had to make a lot of compromises that just made it completely unusable because of cost factors and the state of technology at the time. But I hope that they haven't lost their desire to go into that space and to really bring their primary franchises into that space, because there's so much cool potential for what they could do with it. Anyway, that's all for today, and I will see you guys tomorrow, and everybody have a great every day.